welcome to yet another chapter of reading of biography of Albert Einstein with, here we have radio. I have to wear this bangle so as to keep him with myself. So sweet, very good, very good. And Antenna has replaced radio today. He's on the fan sitting there and like they say, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, changes from one form to another. So today he is waiting. Very good radio. Very good. Antenna probably will come in a bit. So let's get started with the other chapter. And this one is going to be very interesting. Pacifism and Zionism. For most of the World War I, Einstein remained at the University of Berlin, completing and then awaiting the confirmation of his general theory of relativity. However, Einstein was also a staunch and outspoken opponent of the war. He was specially appalled by his fellow scientists who supported the war effort of their respective nations, including Otto Stern, Max Born, Walter Nernst, and Marie Curie. In October 1914, 2 months after the start of the war, Einstein heard news of publication of the Manifesto of the 93, also known as An Appeal to the Cultured World, a document created by the German wartime propagandists to persuade the international intellectual community that the German government invasion of Belgium and involvement in the war were justifiable. The manifesto was signed by 93 leading German intellectuals from various fields, including the physicist Max Planck and the painter Max Liebermann and the poet Gerhard Hauptmann. When Einstein learned of this document, he joined with a like-minded physician and friend, George Friedrich Nicolai, to draft a counter-manifesto. This counter-manifesto, entitled An Appeal to the Cultured World, was a recommendation to avoid annexations and to create a durable system of peace for Europe. Although Einstein and Nicolai deliberately used general terms in order to appeal to a broad audience, the manifesto received very few signatures. After this failure, Einstein joined the New Fatherland League, a political association of men of varied backgrounds who supported an early end to the war and the establishment of an international organization to prevent future armed conflicts. While working in Berlin in 1915, Einstein was approached by the Berlin Goethe League, a peaceful organization that wished to publish the scientists' views on the war effort. In October 1915, Einstein wrote a 3-page article entitled My Opinion of the War, in which he argued that the roots of war lie in the aggressive biology of males. Once again, he rejected all kinds of war and urged the creation of an international political order to promote peace. In the 1920s, he was invited to join the League of Nations Committee on Intellectual Cooperation, an international intellectual union founded by the French philosopher Henri Bergson. In the 1920s, he was invited to join the League of Nations Committee on Intellectual Cooperation, an international intellectual union founded by the French philosopher Henri Bergson. Although he was distrustful of the organization's bureaucracy, Einstein regularly attended the Commission's meetings from 1924 to 1927. He remained a staunch pacifist, highly critical of nationalism, and committed to the idea of a single world government free of a military. Throughout the 1920s, he participated in numerous peace campaigns and wrote articles on international peace and disarmament. By the late 1920s, disappointed by the League of Nations' failure to enforce disarmament and proscribe war, Einstein had become even more outspoken in his international pacifism. Another important aspect of Einstein's politics during the 1920s was a strong belief in Zionism. Einstein was drawn to the Zionist cause as a result of the influence of Chaim Weizmann, a Russian Jew who had recently persuaded the British government to issue the famous Balfour Declaration, declaring its full support to the establishment of a national home of the Jewish people in Palestine. Although Einstein disliked Zionism's nationalist aspect, he was interested in the establishment of a Hebrew university in Palestine. After witnessing anti Semitism of the European university system, Einstein was determined to create a place where Jews could gain an education unrestrained by prejudice. He saw Israel as a cultural center of Jewry rather than a Jewish homeland or a Jewish state. In 1921, Einstein accepted an invitation to participate in a fundraising tour in United States for the Jewish Development Fund, Keren Hayesod. He traveled with the Weizmanns, and his wife Elson spoke passionately on behalf of the planned Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Einstein was well received in America, especially when he lectured on relativity. He spoke at universities in Columbia, Cleveland, Chicago, Princeton, and several other major cities. When the Hebrew University was finally established in 1923, Einstein delivered the inaugural address in Jerusalem. However, he became increasingly distressed by the way in which the university was organized. Einstein had envisioned an academically elite institution devoted to research of the highest scientific standards. Instead, he found that the wealthy American Jews who had funded the university were more interested in creating a teaching institution at the undergraduate level. In 1928, Einstein resigned from the academic board as a sign of his disapproval. Although he was angry at the way in which Hebrew University was developing, Einstein attended the 16th Zionist Congress in Zurich in 1929, where he spoke on behalf of the cultural unity of the Jewish people. Soon afterwards, when the newspapers reported serious Arab attacks on Jews in Jerusalem, Einstein called for a fair settlement based on both Arab and Jewish interests. He appealed to Weizmann to cooperate peacefully with the Arabs and suggested the creation of a secret council of 4 Jews and 4 Arabs to reconcile their differing views, an idealistic goal that was never achieved. In 1947, when the United Nations debated the future of Palestine, Einstein argued against the participation plan that would divide the land into 2 states, Arab and Jewish. As an alternative, he advocated a military free zone for both people. In 1952, 4 years after Israel became a Jewish state, David Ben Gurion, Israel's premier, offered Einstein the position of President of Israel. Although Einstein was deeply moved by the offer, he explained that he did not feel that he had the interpersonal skills for the job. Nonetheless, Einstein remained deeply committed to the welfare of Israel and the Jewish people for the rest of his life. History is very much a part of science, is the moral of the story. We cannot think that, okay, we don't have to learn about world wars. We do not have to know about the Palestine-Israel war, which is still a conversation, which is still in news. It was there in the Einstein's time, it's still there. So everything is interrelated, be it science or history. The next chapter that awaits is quantum theory. Bye-bye.